Hi there, I'm Chantal. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. Thank you. We are kicking off 2026? No, we are kicking off my 2025 end of year content by talking about books I'm excited for in 2026. I have 45 new books to talk about that I am excited about. I am excited and interested about most of these, but what I'm doing a little differently compared to last year or when I do anticipated videos, throughout the year. I usually do them month to month from like February to October, November. Usually I just talk about all the releases I'm interested in, but I am trying to temper myself a little more, be a little bit more, what's the word? A bit more intentional with what I am reading and what I am buying, especially. So I have divided up these releases into sections this time. Within the sections, they will be by release date, but they are in sections. So the first section that I will talk about are ARCs, advanced reader copies that I have for 2026. So I will talk about those first. I have the auto read / auto buy category, and we will talk about why there is a read / buy in that category there. But those are the ones that I am definitely 100% super into wanting to read next year. Then I have a section of books where I am going to get them from the library. These can be books that I really want to read, but I don't know if I'm going to be like auto immediately read or if I even want to buy them at all. So I am going to keep an eye out for when they show up in my library and put a hold of them as soon as I can. But I am interested in reading them at some point. Then I have a section called Wait for Reviews. These are books that sound interesting, but I'm not entirely sure. So I want to wait and see what reviews come in for these books and see if they will be for me. Last, I have a section that is the FYI / on my radar. These are books that I don't think will quite be for me, or they're books that don't really have a lot of information yet. So this is going to be like a for your information. I think you may find interest in these books, or it's something on my radar where I am going to keep an eye on it. And then maybe a book from there will shift into, a want to read, library read or something in the future. So those are the sections I'm working with. Like I said, I have 45 books, mostly sci-fi, fantasy, and then we have a tiny little smattering of horror and mystery. So let's get started. I am very excited. When I was doing my notes for this and preparing, I got so excited. I've been in a reading slump, but doing, preparing for all my end of year content is getting me excited again. So let's kick it off. All right, first section, we are talking about the ARCs, the advanced reader copies I have. All of these are ebook copies and they're all through NetGalley. So the first coming out on January 6th is Through Gates of Garnet and Gold by Shauna McGuire. And if I keep looking here, it's because I have my iPad with all of my notes. I'm not kidding when I said that I prepared for this, okay? So I hope y'all appreciate this. This is the Wayward Children novella series, book number 11, which is kind of crazy. So in this book, we have a character, Nancy, who was pivotal very early on in the series. She comes back. She's from a world called the Halls of the Dead. She comes back to the Eleanor West's home for wayward children, searching for help because for some reason the ghosts that wander the halls of the dead have started killing and devouring all of the human living statues. So she comes back and she takes all of her friends, all of the characters we know and love, on a quest. I have read this already because January 6th is around the corner. And I will say that as a fan of the series, it's really nice. This is a solid, I give it 3 stars. It's a solid entry, but I think this kind of feels like a spinning its wheels kind of situation in this book. There's a lot going on. I really can't say exactly why I feel that way without spoiling a major plot point in the book. So I'm just going to say the synopsis says fan favorite characters come back. I am not a fan of these characters. I know a lot of people love Sumi. I don't. Blasphemy, I know, but I'm not really a fan of Sumi. Nancy was kind of okay to me. I love that we have Cade back. I always enjoyed Christopher. Yeah, 3 stars. It was a solid entry, but it just feels like it's spinning its wheels. I'm gonna need, forward momentum on the greater plot. And just, are we gonna get Christopher ever go back to Mariposa? Are we gonna get more Cade story? Like, we need to move, we need to move. So solid entry. If you like the series, you're going to like this entry. If you haven't read the series yet, I don't know that anything I tell you about book 11 is going to sway you. I really like the series. I loved the first couple of books, so check it out. Book 11, I really think Shauna Maguire needs to just get things rolling, you know. So that is out January 6th. Next we have Enola Holmes and the Clanging Coffin by Nancy Springer. This is book 10 in the Enola Holmes mystery series. If you don't know, this is a middle grade historical fiction mystery series, and Enola Holmes is the younger sister of Sherlock Holmes and Mycroft Holmes. The series kicks off when her mother dies and she goes to London on her own, hiding away from Sherlock, trying to make it on her own as a scientific purgatorian, a finder of things. So she solves mysteries, she has her own adventures, and eventually as the series goes on, she kind of makes amends with Sherlock and kind of lives her life kind of, but also under his watchful eye. Nancy Springer wrote like 6 books and then stopped, and then the Enola Holmes movies with Millie Bobby Brown came out, and then she came back and started writing books again. So we are here with book 10. This one is a little exciting because this book introduces Moriarty. So this is gonna be excited. Enola finds a young woman who is buried alive and protects the young girl from an enigmatic enemy. Her brother Sherlock is engaged in a related mystery, and she joins him in his battle against the Napoleon of crime, Professor Moriarty. I am going to be picking this up pretty soon because it is out on February 10th. The next arc I have is The Rainseekers by Matthew Kressel. This is coming out on February 17th. This novel is a sci-fi novel, and it takes place on Mars. Burned out and looking to put her past behind her, a former addict and recovering influencer interviews her fellow travelers en route to witness the first rain on Mars. Here's a quote from the synopsis that I liked. For the first time in her life, Sakunja is turning the spotlight on someone else, interviewing her fellow travelers about what brought them to join this incredibly foolhardy crew of souls adrift in a world unseen. So, feels like it's going to be kind of an understated sci-fi, but I am kind of looking forward to this. I like the kind of angle that it's taking with a burned out influencer who ends up on Mars, and now she's actually doing proper journalism, and they're going to traveling on this journey, learning about people around her to go see the first rain on Mars. So I kind of like that. It feels understated. So I will also be picking this up soon because it comes out on February 17th. The next arc I have is The Subtle Art of Folding Space by John Chu. This is out on April 7th. This is John Chu's debut novel. It is a sci-fi novel. John Chu has actually won the Nebula and Hugo Awards a couple years ago for his novelette, I would say, called If You Find Yourself Speaking to God, Address God with the Informal You. You can read it online for free. I will link it down below. I really, really like that story, and I am very excited to see where John Chu is going with a full-length novel. So this says, Ellie's universe, and this one, is falling apart. Her ailing mother is in a coma. Her sister Chris accuses her of being insufficiently Chinese between assassination attempts, and a shadowy cabal of engineers is trying to hijack the skunkworks, machinery that keeps the physics of each universe working the way it's supposed to. So it sounds kind of quirky, very interesting, and this cover is incredible. One of the best covers of next year, I do have to say so. So I am very excited for that one. Like I said, I really liked If You Find Yourself Speaking to God. Link down below. Go check that out for a sample of what John Chu's writing is like. Okay, next, I am so excited for this one. This is Villain by Natalia Zeno Walschots. This is the long awaited sequel to Hench by her, which came out in 2020. This is coming out May 19th. Hench, because this is a sequel, I'm just going to tell you about Hench. So this is a superhero story, but it kind of takes superhero tropes and turns them on their head. And it's this new novel is, you know, being compared to the likes of like Invincible and The Boys. In Hench, the main character Anna is a temp, and when temping as a henchman for a villain, she's seriously injured by a hero, and she begins, you know, she's kind of angry, she's disabled by this attack, and she begins to use data to tally up the human cost that the heroes wreak upon the world. And eventually she's hired by the worst villain in the world to be the henchman, and she kind of uses data to go after heroes and turn the world against them. So this is, I just found it, I really remember loving it when I first read it. Here's a quote from the synopsis. Hench explores the individual cost of justice through a fascinating mix of millennial office politics, heroism measured through data science, body horror, and a profound misunderstanding of quantum mechanics. I had a lot of fun with Hench. I am absolutely going to reread Hench, and then I am very excited to get to Villain. So Villain is out May 19th. Okay, last arc that I have as of now is Dead Weight by Hildur Nottsdottir. This is out May 26th, and this is her second horror novel out with Tor.com. And this is translated from Icelandic and is translated by Mary Robinette Kowal, who is a great sci-fi writer in her own right. I really, really liked the first novel. It's hidden back here somewhere, The Night Guest. So in this one, Onur was living a normal, if lonely life until a black cat showed up at her door. She reunites the cat with its owner, but takes it in when Asta, the owner, can't take care of herself for a little while. But trouble is following Asta, and Onur is the only one there when things take a violent turn. Nothing tests a friendship like blood on your hands. So I am very interested in this one. Very excited to get to this one, and it is out May 26th. Now I am on to my auto read / auto buy section. These are books where I am 100% excited to get to these. I'm 100% going to read them and or buy them. And I will indicate when I'm going to buy one, because I don't know if you noticed, but books are fucking expensive now. Like, what happened in the last 5 years is genuinely insane. Because tell me why a brand new hardcover is $35. Tell me why one of these novellas in this section is 144 pages. Short novel novella is 144 pages, and it is going to be $25 for the hardcover. A novella. Like, we've lost the plot. Late stage capitalism is just going to just grind us all to dust. Anyways, that aside, the first in this section that I have is 12 Months by Jim Butcher. This is coming out on January 20th. It is book 18 in the Dresden Files series. Now, the last two books I was not the hugest fan of, but I'm still in. I'm still in with this series. I am still interested in where book 17 ended, and it's kind of shifted things in the world a little bit. There's one very interesting thing that happens to one character that I'm very, very interested in seeing where that goes. But Harry is dealing with a lot in this book. I can't tell you much because it's book 18. Yeah, so Dresden Files book 18, January 20th. I will be reading it. I'm not going to buy it. I have not bought any of the books, but I have to look and see if the audiobook is still being narrated by James Marsters. If so, then I'll probably use a Libro FM credit on it. Next, I'm excited about, I am still waffling on whether to buy it or not, but this is Operation Bounce House by Matt Dinniman. This last year, I have devoured Dungeon Crawler Carl. I do still have book 7 left to read, because the way I get is that when I'm loving something, truly loving it, I get so reluctant to read the last thing because I don't want it to end. I don't want to get to the end of book 7 and have no more left to read. So I think I'm gonna try to read it towards the end of this month, maybe at the start of next year, because book 8 is gonna be later on in this section. But Matt Dinniman has this coming out, nothing to do with Dungeon Crawler Carl, but it's called Operation Bounce House. It is a sci-fi novel in which a man must fight for his planet against impossible odds when gamers from Earth attempt to remotely annihilate it in this epic, fast-paced novel. I'm interested. Matt Dinniman has a good mind in that noggin, so I am very excited for this one. Still debating on whether I'll buy the hardcover because, like I said, books are fucking expensive at this point. So yeah, but yes, auto read at this point. Next is Nobody's Baby by Olivia Waite. I am buying this one, even though it is a novella and it's probably going to be $25 also. This is a sci-fi mystery series, and I really, really loved the first book, which was Murder by Memory, that came out this year. It is right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right there. Essentially, this is a kind of Miss Marple-ish, Agatha Christie-ish murder mystery taking place on this generation ship, which is very like it's big enough that it has sections that are shops and living. And on the ship in this book, in book 2, Dorothy Gentleman, ship detective, is put to the test once again when an infant is mysteriously left on her nephew's doorstep. Fertility was supposed to be on pause on the ship during this journey. Her nephew is growing attached to the baby, and a rival detective is trying to classify the baby as a stowaway or a piece of luggage. So I I really like this series. I really like this subgenre of mysteries, sci-fi mysteries set on like spaceships or cruise ships or generation ships. I'm super into it, so I am very excited for this one. And that is coming out March 10th. Next, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I'm so flippin' excited for this. This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me by Ilona Andrews. This is coming out March 31st. I am so sad that I got denied for the arc on NetGalley. I also got denied for the arc for Nobody's Baby, but you know, I'm not gonna hold a grudge or anything because Tor does give me arcs for a lot of other stuff. This is Ilona Andrews, who I love their writing style. Their writing style works for me. It deeply scratches an itch in my brain. And this is an isekai fantasy from Ilona Andrews, which is wild. Isekai, if you don't know, is essentially when a character is somehow sent to another world, and that world is usually a fictional world that they knew about, like in the real world. So like a book series. This tends to happen in manga a lot, where the characters are going into video games. I'm excited. I'm so excited. So in this, our main character Maggie ends up in the pages of her favorite dark fantasy series and finds that she can't die. I don't need more. I don't need more than that. Auto buy. Auto buy. It's Ilona Andrews. Auto read, auto buy. All right, next on April 14th, we have The Faith of Beasts by James S.A. Corey. This is book 2 in the Captives War series. So when I read the first book, The Mercy of Gods, I was kind of lukewarm on it because I think it felt like a prequel. And the way it approached some of the storytelling and some of the plot in the middle really didn't work for me. But then I read the novella after that, called Live Suit, which takes place in a completely different part of the universe. It's set in this book's universe, but it's completely part of the galaxy universe. I don't know what is going on, but that was so interesting, and that got me hooked back into the possibilities of where they are going with this book series and this universal world that they have created. Yeah, the novella got me excited back in and pulled this back into auto read for me next year. This one sounds like we're going to expand more out into the galaxy, the universe, whatever. So I am excited. Next, we have A Long and Speaking Silence by Nevo out on May 5th. This is book 7 in the Singing Hill cycle. This is the novella I was talking about. That's 144 pages and it's $25. So I thought I was going to buy it, but I don't know about that. I only own one physically, and I don't know if you watched my video where I went through my library, but I was surprised. I completely forgot that I bought it. So I don't know that I'm going to buy this one. But this series is an auto read for me. I read it almost as soon as it's out. And I love it. We follow the adventures of Cleric Chi and their partner bird Almost Brilliant as they go around in this fantasy world based kind of on like East Asia, like China, Vietnamish. Each book is kind of like a different shift in tone and different storytelling. You could pick up each book separately and read them on their own, but I think it's good to read from the start and go through. This book, book 7, we are actually going back to very early on in Chi and Almost Brilliant's life, which is going to be a little exciting. So we get newly Cleric Chi, who's barely just stopped being a novice. So I'm pretty excited about this one. Okay, next on May 12th, we have All Hail Chaos by Sarah Rees Brennan. This is book 2 in Time of Iron, the first book of which was Long Live Evil. I loved that book. I am so excited for this one. Long Live Evil, the first book, is an isekai as well, where a character who is dying of cancer gets a chance to go into the book series that is her sister's favorite series, but then she's also kind of obsessed with because she's, read it with her sister. And she is in the character, in the body of the villain, essentially. So she has to figure out how to stay alive because the villain dies a pretty bad death. And she kind of she gives into the villainess of it. I really, really liked it. It surprised me so much. It was a lot of fun, so I am excited for this one. Next is book 2 in the Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi. This is the Tapestry of Fate by Shannon Tarkaborty. This is coming out on May 19th. The Adventures of Mina al-Sarafi is essentially a book where an older pirate, former pirate, Amina, she's like in her 40s, she has a child, and she's kind of forced back into the life, like one last job kind of situation. To help a former crewmate. She gets the band back together. They do what they need to do, but at the end of book 1, it turns out that Amina is going to have to essentially go on adventures to do specific things. So I enjoyed book 1. I'm not going to buy this. I will get it on the library. The audiobook was really fun. The Tapestry of Fate comes out May 19th. Next, A Trade of Blood by Robert Jackson Bennett, which is book 3 in The Shadow of the Leviathan. Book 1 is The Tainted Cup. Book 2 is A Drop of Corruption. Where are you? It's over there somewhere. I love this series. It is essentially a mystery series set in a biopunk fantasy world with monsters that are kaiju and crazy biomedical magic-ish kind of. So I really love it. Drop of Corruption would have been my favorite book of the year if it wasn't for The Raven Scholar. In this one, it sounds like we are again going to a different part of the world that this is set in, learning about a different part of the world, and there's a new mystery, and not much more I can ask for. I enjoy these books so much. Okay, and then July 7th, we have our next Chuck Tingle. I am loving this like one Chuck Tingle horror book a year, always in July. So this is Fabulous Bodies. I am buying this because my Chuck Tingle collection is growing. Okay, I have two there. Lucky Day is over here. And my husband also loves these books, so we will probably also get it on Libro FM because he listens to them on audio. In this one, fashion influencer by day and grave robber by night, Poppy Stringer is on call when Eddie Michaels, a flamboyant, piano-slamming rock star and queer icon, unexpectedly dies. All Poppy has to do is retrieve Eddie's body from the medical examiner's office, but what starts as a routine delivery quickly goes off course when Eddie wakes up. Now, in my head, Eddie is basically Elton John. It's like Weekend at Bernie's, but Bernie is actually undead and alive, and it's Elton John. I don't know. Chuck Tingle always comes up with amazing, ridiculous ideas and knocks them out of the park. So July 7th, Fabulous Bodies. And then last in this section for me is A Sea of Charms by Sarah Beth Durst. This is the third book in her cozy fantasy series, started with The Spell Shop. And in this one we follow another character in this world who is finding love. They're cozy fantasies, they're romances. That's really all there is to it. I'm going to read The Enchanted Greenhouse as soon as I get it. And then I'm excited for Sea of Charms, which is coming out on July 28th. Okay, we are on to the reads that I'm almost definitely getting from the library. My interest in these may wane depending on what reviews come out, but if I do get them, it's going to be library reads. The first of which is Halcyon Years by Alistair Reynolds, which is out on January 27th. This is a sci-fi noir mystery, and I'm interested in this one because, let's just go for it. Yuri Gagarin is a private investigator who picks up small cases from his local community, runs into trouble with the local police, and generally ekes out a living as best as he can. He's aboard the Halcyon, a starship hurtling through space carrying thousands of passengers with thousands more sleeping their journey away. Part of me is like, I always want to like noir, but it's a very hard sell for me. But it is a mystery set on a spaceship, generation ship, and from what I can tell from reviews, this is literally Yuri Gagarin, the first astronaut cosmonaut in space. Like, what? I think this may be out in the UK, and then this date is for a US release, but I'm getting it from the library because what? And also, I like I said, I like sci-fi murder mysteries, a mystery set in space, so we will see with that one. Okay, next on February 3rd, we have The Forest on the Edge of Time by Jasmine Kirkbride. Look at this gorgeous cover. This is a sci-fi and time travel-y and I think romance. So in this book, two women are recruited by a mysterious project that sends them back in time to opposite worlds. Echo is a healer's assistant in ancient Athens, and Hazel is the last human alive on a lab in a polluted island with nothing but tiny robots and an untrustworthy AI for company. Both of them have amnesia, but their consciousnesses connect in their dreams as they start to uncover their pasts. This sounds very interesting, and this cover is so tempting, but there's something about that where I'm like, I know probably, unless I truly just love it right out the bat, it's probably going to be a bit of a hard sell for me, so library it is. Next one, I don't think, I have not seen a single person talk about this, but this is Boy with Accidental Dinosaur by Ian MacDonald, coming out on February 3rd. This looks like a sci-fi western with a touch of romance. It's dinosaur circuses. So in this one, we have a character, Tiff, who grew up an orphan, And all Tiff only ever wanted is to be in the circus, the dino circus. When Tiff frees a dinosaur from abusive owner, they brave the roving gangs of the formerly American West to bring the dinosaur to safety. Along the way, there may be some romance. So, yeah, the cover got me. The title got me. So absolutely, definitely library read. And part of me, this was on NetGalley. I didn't quite pick it at the time because I had a little bit too much on my plate, but if it's still there, I might ask for it. I don't know. I'm so tempted, but like this cover is amazing. And everything about this is kind of like, I'm just like, yeah, put it in my face. Okay, next, this is The Final Problem by Arturo Perez Reverte. This is out on February 26th. This is a mystery translated from Spanish. This says it's for fans of White Lotus, Benjamin Stevenson, and Anthony Horowitz. A locked room mystery set in 1960 at an isolated Greek island resort, following a group of strangers, a suspicious death, and a washed-up actor ready to put his on-camera detective skills to the test. It's giving... Out of all that, I don't know why they didn't say Agatha Christie, but okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm down for that. All right, next on March 24th, we have Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. Mark Lawrence is one of those where I'm kind of just like, I always want to read his stuff, but I never get around to it. And then he keeps coming out with books that sound interesting, but this one like really kind of got me. Like, I think he's the one who did Red Sister, which has one of the most banging opening lines of all time. This one, let's just go through this. So this is a fantasy that says the Academy of Kindness exists to create agents of retribution, cast in the image of the Furies, known as the Kindly Ones, against whom even the gods hesitate to stand. Each year, 100 girls are sold to the Academy. 10 years later, only 3 will emerge. Main character is Rue, who sold herself to the Academy. And now, a long and bloody lifetime later, just as she has discovered peace, war has been brought to an old woman's doorstep. It's kind of word salad, I think. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but it feels like there's this academy and 100 girls go in and only like 3 survive ever. And it sounds like our main character like took herself to the academy. She wasn't like bought or anything. She willingly went in. And it sounds like we're going toward like she's been there for a long time, or she's gone through it for a long time. And now we're picking up with her as she's older and stuff is coming to her doorstep. So that's what I got from this. I did like the idea of having like an older character. So we will see how this goes. I definitely am going to get it from the library, but also if I have to wait for a while, I'm not going to be upset about it. You know, I would love to see what reviews say about it. Next, on April 21st, we have The Language of Liars by S.L. Huang. I am interested in this because I liked their book. I am forgetting what it is. It has the green cover. I really, really liked it. I am blanking. I am going to put the green cover here because I don't remember what it was. But this one, now talk about word salad. I could not really parse what the hell the synopsis was saying in this one. So I'm going to paste it here from Goodreads if you want to pause and read it, or just go to Goodreads yourself and read it. Because let me just try to like, this is kind of what I got from it. So the first thing that hit me is that I was like, this sounds like it took Babbel's an act of translation is always an act of betrayal and said bet. Because I kind of in my notes I said, in this case, it looks like a character's psychic connection with another species that is the only species capable of mining the element needed for light year spanning travel will destroy that species. And a quote from the synopsis, to understand is to become. It never occurs to him that the mere act of understanding can destroy. So, kind of dealing with translation and stuff like that, but kind of more elevated than what I feel Babel did. So, I'm interested. Like I said, I really liked that S.L. Huang book. But wow, that synopsis was just like, what is happening? Anyways, library. Library. Next, we have Sublimation by Isabel J. Kim, which is out on June 2nd. Now, this looks like it is actually an expanded novel. This is her debut novel, and it looks like it was expanded from a short story she wrote, which is available online. It is called Homecoming is Just Another Word for the Sublimation of the Self. I'll link that down below as well. The idea is, when you immigrate, you leave a copy of yourself behind. One person enters their new country, the other stays trapped at home. Some keep in contact with the idea of reintegrating in the future, and some, like our main character Rose, never speak to their other selves again. But then Rose's Korean instance, named Soyoung, calls her home for her grandfather's funeral, except Soyoung plans to steal her body and live her life whether Rose wants to reintegrate or not. So very interested in this. I do want to read the short story, and then that'll give me a better idea of just how much I'll be into this. But yeah, ready to check it out. The next one looks fun. This is Mossed in Space by Rebecca Thorne. This is out on July 7th. This is a sci-fi novel. Rebecca Thorne, I think, wrote Can't Spell Treason Without T. I didn't quite enjoy it quite a lot, but I can see the appeal. I can see why people really liked it. There was a whole trilogy, and this sounds interesting. So this is her take on cozy sci-fi. Our main character, Torian, buys an alien starship that has been abandoned for a century and is covered in moss, but then finds out that the moss is actually an organic computer with a snarky attitude and serious abandonment issues. The target of its loathing? The immortal alien who built it. The same alien who just found Torian and accuses her of stealing their ship. So, yeah, this sounds interesting. Library read. All right, last in this section, I have The Dragon Has Some Complaints by John Wiswell, which is out July 14th. This sounds fun because just go with me here, okay? Garrodig was once a four-headed dragon, among the most powerful in Cardosa. After an unfortunate incident, he now has 3 heads, 1 stump, and a daily whirlwind of internal bickering. Centerhead wants to rain death upon all humanity. Bottomhead is like a feral cat, and Upperhead is under the delicate delusion that he is in fact human. When a nearby battle goes awry, Garrodig sneaks into an elite dragon rider academy, pretending to be tame to get free food and a warm bed. Lucky for him, Rider Rania Albright is desperate enough for a dragon of her own that she overlooks his eccentricities. Tell me that's not this meme. This is mainly why I want to read this. This is the meme that comes to mind right now. I kind of hope he wrote it with that in mind. If not, it's giving this, and it makes me want to read it even more. So, library it is. I am quite delighted by that idea. So, I am excited for that. And that is out July 14th. Okay, we are halfway there. We are down to our second to last section. And for these last 2 sections, I'm kind of going to speed through these because these are the ones where they piqued my interest, but not enough to like make a decision to actually read them. So I'm just gonna go, genre, quick, maybe the tagline, blurb, whatever, and we'll get through it. Also because it's kind of late and I've been talking a lot. So first we have Detour by Jeff Rake and Rob Hart on January 13th. This is a sci-fi thriller, and this is one of the guys who wrote this was like the creator or writer on Manifest, the TV show, which I remember liking the first season of. So I'm curious. So essentially this is a story of a space shuttle flight crew who discovers that the Earth they've returned to is not the home they left behind in this emotional, mind-bending thriller. Essentially, they go up to space, they come back, and Earth isn't quite right. So that's very intriguing to me. I will wait to see what some reviews say, but I am intrigued. Next, we have Dead First by Johnny Compton. This is a horror novel, and this one kind of got me. This is a bone-chilling new novel about a private investigator hired by a mysterious billionaire to discover why he can't die. And I think I remember from reading the synopsis is that she goes to the house just to watch him be murdered by like his manservant, and then watch him resurrect. And then he hires her to figure out why he can't die. So I'm very curious. I don't know if this is a vampire novel. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to wait for reviews and see what's going on because I like The Spite House, but his second novel, Devils Kill Devils, didn't quite hit the mark with a lot of people, so I'm going to wait and see on this one. Next up, we have The Obake Code by Makana Yamamoto on February 17th. This is a sci-fi novel about coders and hackers. There are lots of gangs and lots of queer rep. Now, what kind of turned me off on this is that there does seem to be gang activity. Now, I don't think the main character is in a gang, but it is heavily gang related. And I just do not like organized crime stories whatsoever. But this says it's an all-new standalone sci-fi caper where a bored hacker is forced by vicious gangsters to take down a crooked politician, only to find herself up against a code she might not be able to crack. So, hackers sounds fun, but the gang stuff is turning me off, so we'll see. Next, we have The Iron Garden Sutra by A.D. Sui, which is out February 24th. A.D. Sui's novella won, I want to say, a Nebula Award. I liked her novella, the first one, which is the Dragonfly Gambit. I liked it, so I am curious about this one. I am going to wait to see what reviews say on this one. This is a sci-fi mystery horror kind of situation. This says, Clara and the Sun meets S.A. Barnes's Dead Silence with a touch of Becky Chambers, a psalm for the wild built. Nebula award-winning author, so she did win the Nebula. This is a darkly philosophical murder mystery as a death monk and a team of researchers trapped on board a spaceship of the dead encounter something beyond human understanding. Now, yes, murder mystery on a spaceship. Yes, philosophical murder mystery. Double yes. But it's the like comparison to S.A. Barnes' Dead Silence where I'm kind of eh. And the horror-ish of it where I'm kind of eh. So I'm waiting to see some reviews and then we will see. We will see if I add this to my list of mysteries taking place on spaceships. We'll see. All right, next we have The Last Contract of Isako by Fonda Lee. Why did I want to say Jane Lee? This is out on May 5th. Get ready to be blown away by this searing standalone space opera where corporate samurai fight beneath merciless stars and death is always a mere breath away. This is in my wait for reviews section because I didn't really vibe with Fonda Lee. Okay, I read Jade City and I could tell that it was really good, but like I said, I don't like organized crime stories, so I could not enjoy Jade City and the entire Greenbone saga as much as everybody loves it because I don't like organized crime stories and I just can't get past that. So I think I read her novella, was it Untethered Skies, and that was okay for me, so I'm gonna wait and see what reviews say on this and then go from there. Next we have Love Galaxy by Sierra Branham on May 5th. This is sci-fi romance reality TV. I'm kind of into this. I do want to wait for reviews, but I'm kind of into this. So a romantic science fiction thriller in which a young woman from a dead-end planet gets cast on a reality TV show to compete for the hand of the prince or princess, but not everyone is there for the right reasons. So political machinations, Bachelor-esque kind of situation, reality TV, sci-fi, I'm here for it. Then we have The Republic of Memory by Mahmoud El Sayed coming out on May 14th. This is a sci-fi and it takes place on a generation ship. The Safina is a city ship maintained by a crew generation after generation while protecting their ancestors by keeping them alive in cryostasis. But a lot can change in 200 years, and people are starting to ask questions. A reckoning is coming. The system is only secure so long as those in power maintain the obedience of those beneath them, and the crew has had enough. So, very interested. I don't see a lot of people talking about this, so I don't know how many reviews are going to come in on this. I may just bite the bullet and get it from the library, but curious, very curious. Okay, then this, I have not seen anyone talk about this. This is The Big Bad Book of Kaiju by various authors. This is a kaiju anthology. This is coming out July 7th. It's kaiju. That's the genre, it's kaiju. This is featuring stories from authors like Tananarive Du, Ai Jiang, Alma Katsu, Shauna Maguire. So there we go. I have found my enjoyment of short story collections and anthologies kind of waning over the last couple of years, so I'm not really being drawn to them anymore, so waiting for reviews. Just like everything else in this section. Okay, last in this section we have Not With a Bang by Temi O coming out July 14th. This is sci-fi, sounds like a family drama. So in the summer sky, a celestial object is fast approaching due to slingshot around the earth and disappear again. As people worry about this or curious what it is, they don't know if it's a comet, is it aliens, something. We're following the Minton family who are in crisis. And as a celestial object approaches, the Mintons reach breaking point. So this kind of sounds like a family drama kind of situation going on. So curious about this one. I have a Temi O book, which I can't remember if, I think I do have it in my reader on haul. Totally forgot what it's called. I think it's More Perfect. So no, Do You Dream of Terror 2? That's the one I have. So I do need to see that, to read that to see if I like her writing, and I will wait to see how this goes. That was it for the, oh god, it's late. That was it for the wait for reviews section. We're moving on to the on my radar section. Okay, I need to take 5 minutes. Okay, 5 minutes. Okay. I just needed a quick break. We're in the home stretch here. We're in the last section. 9 more books to talk about. We're gonna speed through these. This is a section where it's books that I've heard about. I've been kind of intrigued, but not, something about them has not grabbed me. Maybe there's something in it that I know I may not enjoy myself, but this is more like I'm kind of keeping them on my radar. Or there are books where I'm just kind of putting them out there as an FYI for someone else who may be excited about them. All right, first we have Jitterbug by Gareth L. Powell coming out on March 3rd. This is a sci-fi novel. I know Gareth L. Powell is a pretty a prolific popular sci-fi author I haven't touched yet. I think he wrote Future's Edge, which I want to read. I think it came out this year, so I think I'm going to try that and then see where I go from there. So in this one, Jupiter and Saturn are gone, and a mysterious force has built a huge habitable sphere from their ashes. When criminals try to lose themselves on this new frontier, bounty hunters like Copernicus Brown and the crew of his sentient ship Jitterbug get paid to hunt them down. So, space bounty hunters. Let's go. Next, we have First Mage on the Moon by Cameron Johnston. This is out April 14th. This is a sci-fi fantasy, and it says it's an innovative space fantasy where wizards race to be the first on the moon, also known as the land of the gods. Intrigued by this one, but definitely I think the space fantasy aspect of it, I'm not sure about that yet, so on my radar. Next, we have The Infinite State by Richard Swan. He wrote The Justice of Kings, and I think he started the second trilogy that like takes place hundreds of years after the Justice of Kings trilogy, and now he's writing this sci-fi novel. Those are fantasies. This is sci-fi political novel, and I tried to condense this because it's very like bam, 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 and if I read the synopsis, I would have to read the whole thing for you, which I don't want to sit here and do, so this is what I have. This is a character threatens the governing party of a fascist galaxy-spanning empire because she's going to create something nobody has seen for many years. A democracy. So, interested, waiting to see how that goes. Next, we have A Plagued Sea by Kim Bo-young. This is out on October 3rd. This is speculative fiction by Kim Bo-young, who is a very well-loved Korean author, translated from Korean. Visionary Korean author Kim Bo-young unleashes a Lovecraftian nightmare of infection, transformation, and abomination. Lovecraftian is a turn off for me, so that's why this is kind of on my radar. I will let you guys go check it out. Next, we have a new Emily St. John Mandel. This is Exit Party, which is out on, I didn't have the date here. Also, these are not in order, and I'm looking at my list, and some of these don't have dates. I was moving stuff around when I was organizing, so. Exit Party by Emily St. John Mandel, another book from her. Tagline, a new mind-bending story of crimes committed and loves lost across space and time. Very generic, but that's what we got. Next, we have After the Fall by Edward Ashton. This is out February 24th. Edward Ashton wrote Mickey 7 and a sequel to Mickey 7. So I'm curious, but I haven't read those. We did watch Mickey 17, but I know Mickey 17 is kind of a departure from Mickey 7 a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. In this one, this is a sci-fi novel, post-alien invasion, humans are kind of pets, and basically it says part alien invasion story, part buddy comedy, and part workplace satire. Would humans make really good pets? This cover also, like, for what, like, it says it's about? So, I don't know about this one, but here it is. Okay, then we have The Starseekers by Nicole Glover. I'm putting this out there because I love this idea. This is book 4 in a series, from what I understand. This is the Murder and Magic series. The first book is The Conductors. That has been on like my, I'm aware of it. It's been on and off my TBR for like years at this point. Historical, mystery, fantasy, the space race. So this says, Indiana Jones meets Hidden Figures in this brand new standalone historical fantasy set in the world of the Conductors, in which the space race of the mid-20th century will be determined by magic, if not murder. So we follow a character who is an arcane engineer and hosts a magical educational show. She's also an amateur sleuth and has mystery to solve. This cover is lovely, so I just wanted to put more eyes on this. I still want to read The Conductors and read the whole series and then get to this, but I wanted more eyes on this. Look at this. Yeah, so I will eventually get to this. Next, we have a T. Kingfisher. This is Wolfworm. Look, I really like T. Kingfisher, but like I said, I know my limits, and Gothic is one of them. And yes, T. Kingfisher does write a lot of Gothic, but some of her Gothic stuff is not as Gothic as her other stuff, you know? So like, the Sworn Soldier series, that was too Gothic for me. The first one, I didn't continue that series. But something like A House with Good Bones, that was kind of Gothic, but like lighter Gothic, if that makes sense. So it's a gradient, but this one seems like it is way too much on the Gothic gradient for me, which is why it's here in the like on my radar kind of place. So this is a historical horror. Something darker than the devil itself stalks the North Carolina woods in Wolfworm. So this follows a character who likes bugs, and she goes off to work with an entomologist, but then weird shit happens. Also bugs. that's enough for me, dog, but I will wait. I'll keep this on my radar. We'll see how things go, but I don't know. I think this is gonna be a Tegan for sure. I just don't read. Last, finally, we have Green and Deadly Things by Jen Lyons, which is out on March 3rd. Jen Lyons wrote the Chorus of Dragons series, which I'm still making my way through. This is a fantasy novel, and it says this is a page-turning standalone fantasy of necromancy and magical mayhem. Centuries ago, necromancy almost destroyed the world. That's how history remembers it. History remembers it wrong. And then there was a bunch of other stuff, but again, synopsis, I would have to read the whole thing to make sense. So that's it. We did it. 45 books coming out in 2026 that I'm interested in, that I kind of just want to put on your radar. They're on my radar. I want FYI. So like I said, there's some that I'm so into. I'm so, like, 2025 was not a fantastic release year in hindsight, but like 2026 is going to have some bangers. Like, there's some bangers coming out next year that I'm very excited about. Very excited about. Alona Andrews doing an isekai? Like, what? Oh, yes. Mwah. Okay, so this wraps up the 45 books that I wanted to talk about that are coming out next year. Let me know what books in this list you were interested in. Was there a book in this list that you had no idea, had never heard of, and now you're interested in reading it? I would love to hear if you experienced that. And what in this list are you most excited for? I would love to hear that too. So, as always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time. Bye.